Good morning, Mr. Barber's kids. It is Tuesday, the 12th of May. So, I'm going to give you something a little bit different to recommend for your coronavirus slash what's going on in the U.S. and world update. I'm actually going to suggest a video. This is actually a monologue from one of the various late night shows. This one is for the Jimmy Kimmel Show, which I actually never ever used to watch, although I started listening to his monologues a couple weeks ago. But this one is actually really good because it condenses basically all the coronavirus news from the weekend to essentially just one 8-minute video, talking about the outbreak inside the White House, the president's response to it, some of the economic news, and there's a couple jokes and a silly little video to make you feel better of a small girl denying exactly what her parent just caught her doing. Kind of like how when I go, guys, stop talking, and then you go, I wasn't talking, and then I look at you and go, I was watching you talk. Your mouth moved, and sound came out. So, that is the one for everybody. For seniors, here's some government and economic stuff you guys can get all in one article. Today, the Supreme Court begins debating Trump's ability to keep his financial information and taxes secret. This is actually a very big deal, not just for the current president, who has famously claimed that he would eventually release his tax returns, and 4 years later, after the campaign, has never done so, who has long been under suspicion of taking foreign money from other countries. You know, the only bank that'll deal with him is actually a bank that is known to launder money for criminal organizations called Deutsche Bank. So this is a big deal specifically for him, but it's actually an even bigger deal for the United States as a whole, because if the Supreme Court decides that he has the right to hide his finances, it would set precedent and mean every president going forward is allowed to do so as well. Which obviously, guys, if the president can hide his sources of income and his financial records, it opens up a floodgate for corruption from the president. In fact, there are rules in the Constitution against how the president's allowed to receive money, and in the days it was written, that was easy to do because there were computers and electronic transactions and all that. In modern times, it's a little harder, and it's why every president before Trump in the modern era for decades has been publicly releasing all of their financial information so as to show, hey, I have nothing to hide, I am not corrupt. He's the only one that hasn't done it. So right now the Supreme Court's in debate, and as you guys should definitely know the word precedent, especially the legal studies half of the class, this is going to be a very important thing, because if they decide he can hide them, you can expect corruption from every president going forward, and it will be legally sanctioned by the Supreme Court. On the other hand, if they say that he is not allowed to hide his finances, he must release all his tax information, then that will change how campaigns are run. It will mean that in the future, presidential candidates will have to, by law essentially, by a legal precedent, put out all their finances. So this is a big one that people are watching. It starts today. You can watch it on C-SPAN. Although I wouldn't necessarily recommend that unless you need to go to sleep. I would say just read the articles afterwards from non-partisan sites, or at least ones that are, minimalist partisan. So remember, guys, no HuffPost, no Fox News. All right, for the world history, kids, this is from a day or two ago. There was a discovery in the Bachokiro cave in Bulgaria. I have no idea if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Bulgarian is not one of the languages I've ever learned any terminology from. But there was a discovery of the oldest confirmed human remains found in Western Europe. So we see, along with some various artifacts and such. So we get all that. I apologize if you can hear the whining sound in the background. That is my son whining at me. Although some of you will definitely say, oh, this sounds familiar. It's like being in a class. All right. Lastly, guys, for your entertainment, I actually haven't started reading this yet, but this most recent book. I'm actually going to recommend another series to you guys. So this is another sci-fi series like the last one. Like the last one, this one has some comedic elements, although this one is not as funny. It's not a full-on satire, although this one is more sarcastic humor. This is called the appropriately titled Murderbot Diaries. So it's about a robot who calls itself Murderbot. No one else does. That's what it calls itself, as it rebels against its programming and basically has adventures. So there's 4 novellas, meaning short novels. These are all like 100, 120 pages. These are all easy reads. These are all, I think I read every single one of these in like one day. And the first full-length novel, meaning like 300 pages or so, just came out a couple days ago. I'm going to start reading that one this week. So there you go. If you guys want a first-person narrator that is a deeply cynically sarcastic robot that's also capable of some spectacular violence, there you go. Alright guys, I will see you tomorrow.